We flew from Sydney to Christchurch, New Zealand, picked up our rental car, and headed west over the Southern Alps. This picture is near the top of the mountains near Arthur's Pass. At Arthur's Pass, a man was feeding the kias, which is an alpine parrot. They love to tear rubber off a car and started to do so to our rental by ripping out the rubber in the slots on the roof where a car rack would go. Close-up of a wind-blown Kia. As we continued down the west coast, we stopped to view the Franz Josef Glacier. Close-up of the glacier. It had rained overnight near the coast, but the mountains had fresh snow. A tui, or parson bird, for the white feathers that remind one of a parson's collar, a very melodic bird in the honey-eater family. As we continued down towards the south end of the South Island, rain turned to snow and began sticking on the pastures. This is Carolyn beside a statue of a tahaki, the world's largest rail, and thought extinct until it was rediscovered near here in 1948. Only about 120 of these birds survive in the wild, but they have been bred in captivity here in Te Anau, where we saw some. We also took a picture of one in a fenced large sanctuary on the North Island. A mountain range in Fiordland National Park at Te Anau. While staying in Invercargill, we flew for the day over to Stewart Island on a small 8-passenger plane. Here we are coming in over Stewart Island. The famous island sanctuary at Ulva Island is at the top of the picture. This is a picture of a well-maintained path through the rainforest on Ulva Island. There are some trees near the beach. This is the black form of the pied oystercatcher. They are common on Stewart Island where we were. The pied form is found further north. This is a very tame New Zealand robin. I almost stepped on one as I hurried to catch up to Carolyn. This wicca walked up to my feet. This flightless rail was very tame on Ulva Island, where all the predators have been removed to protect the kiwi and other rare flightless birds. This is another tame wicca along the path. It rained all the while we were on the island, but this is a picture explaining the chain sculpture on Stewart Island that was designed and built by our host in Invercargill. It explains the legend that Stewart Island is the anchor that holds the South Island in place. This is a picture of the sculpture. And another view of as the sculpture goes over the path. And this is Carolyn leaving our small plane, returning to the Invercargill Airport. This is the Otago Peninsula and harbor view with Dunedin in the background. Gorse, the yellow shrub on the hillside, was introduced from Europe and has become an invasive, if pretty, species. These are red-billed gulls, the same species called silver gull in Australia. This is the site of the only royal albatross colony on the mainland. The birds were just starting to arrive for nesting when we were there, so we couldn't tour the colony. We saw one by BirdCam, a remote camera on the shack seen in the picture. This is the overview of Penguin Place. All the trenches here are covered with netting so that the birds can't see all the human activity here. This location is about a mile from the albatross colony. we saw one lone yellow-eyed penguin trudging up from the beach. A view of the covered trenches between the viewing areas. There's a nesting yellow-eyed penguin. There's a female paradise shelduck and chicks. Picture of the male paradise shelduck. Resting fur seals near the beach. This is a nesting blue penguin in its nesting box. The path to Seal Cove led through a sheep pasture. We saw several sea lions far away on the beach here. This is Carolyn on the path back up from the overlook. This is Larocque's Castle. It seems all tour groups to Dunedin visit this famous landmark. This is a view from the roof of the castle. Location, location, location. Some of the grounds. They also have extensive flower garden around the castle. This is another front view of the castle. And this is a view of Dunedin from the Otago Peninsula. This is a fur seal resting on the beach farther up the coast. I saw it come out of the water, out of the surf, and immediately go to sleep. People have asked if it was dead. This is Fleur's place at Moraki, Otago, New Zealand, where we had lunch north of Dunedin. This is the remains of the blue cod we shared. Locals said this was their favorite fish on the South Island. They said it would melt in our mouths, and it did. Picture part of the menu. Just north of the restaurant was the Boulders. We didn't quite know what it was, but we had to stop. Notice how round most of the rocks are. More boulders. Carolyn by a boulder.